Hi, I'm Olivia, and today I'll be reading a short story that I've written called The Handsome Stranger. Here we go. He's there again, staring at me. The worst thing is feeling that I somehow encouraged it. Perhaps some tragic, twisted part of me enjoys the attention. Looks-wise, I'm abundantly plain. When I was younger, I coated my face with overpriced makeup that promised radiant skin. I changed my hair every month in a desperate attempt to find a style that would at least make me interesting, if not attractive. I gave up on beauty some years ago and told myself kindness, humour, and intelligence were far more valuable. I can believe that, but my chronically single status on Facebook suggests otherwise. Or perhaps my personality is as unremarkable as my looks. I glance up again. He's still staring. Is he a little closer now? I live in a relatively small place. My house teeters on the boundary between town and country. There's a neighbour either side, and a crumbling pub across the road. Outside that, we're talking crops and manure. And of course, there's the woods at the bottom of my garden. It was the lure of a leafy, secluded haven lying just beyond my fence that first drew me to the property. I even installed a little wooden gate with a heart in the middle, so I could hop quite freely between the garden and the trees. I love places like that. On Saturday mornings when I was little, I would thrust on my ladybird wellies and venture out into the green world awaiting me. At the back of the park were trees that I called the forest, where I had constructed my den, essentially large branches stacked together in a crude effort to make a teepee-like structure. This was my base camp, where I would be safe from all the monsters and magical creatures that I imagined I encountered on my treks through the forest. I could use a safe place like that now. He's definitely heading towards the house. About a month ago, I was ripping up some stubborn weeds in my garden, my back to the woods, when I suddenly felt eyes on me. A thread of sweat trickled down my spine, making my hairs stand on end. Squinting in the glaring sun, I scanned the garden. Nothing. I returned to the weeds, but facing the woods this time. I pushed the feeling of being watched aside, assuming it was just heat or dehydration making me paranoid. A shadow flashed, launching me upwards. That's when I first saw him, in the shade of a crooked tree right on the edge of the woods, just staring. My heart jolted, but I'm ashamed to admit that my initial thought was how handsome he was. I chirped a cheerful, "Hello." Nothing. Perhaps he hadn't heard me. I didn't want to seem like an idiot, so I just got back to work. When I'd finished, I cast an eye back to the stranger. He was still there. Same position. It had been about half an hour. I decided to head inside. The hot sun was making me edgy. At the door, I instinctively looked back. There he was, inside the garden, a few steps behind me. I hadn't even heard the gate. In fact, I remember the gate was locked. He'd started to hurry towards me, so I darted inside and shut the door. Just in time. It's become a daily occurrence in the month since our first encounter. I'll be washing dishes and I'll spot him from the kitchen window. I'll be typing away in the study and he'll be staring up from the decking. Sometimes he brings me things. Gifts in a way. They're not gifts you'd ever want to receive. They're just left there on the back step. I usually shove them straight into the bin and try not to think about touching them. He's never made it inside the house, though I feel like it's just a matter of time. In my darkest moments, I wonder if that would be such a bad thing. I live alone, so nobody would care. Would anyone even notice? My landlord might be unhappy. If he ever finds out, that is. Maybe there wouldn't be any evidence. I moved to the glass door. He's right on the other side of it now. Our eyes are locked. He really is so handsome. Without looking away, I shakily lace my fingers around the brass handle and turn. Since that brief moment of insanity, everything has changed. My life is no longer my own. It's his, and he reminds me of that every day. I should have expected it when I let him in. How could I say no to such a handsome cat, though? The end. Thank you very much for listening.